What up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Risden here. Welcome back to the channel. You guys know I usually talk about hip hop or some sort of leftist theory, but today I'm talking about comedy. And I used to talk about comedy a decent amount on my channel, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been staying away from it a little bit. As a comedian, doing videos about other comedians, people don't really take too kindly to it. All right, I've been side-eyed at a couple clubs. I've been trying to stay away. All right, because those comedian videos are some of my best videos. They're some of my most viewed videos. But let's just say that some of the people who are viewing these videos, aren't big fans of my point of view. But we're gonna keep going because I feel like I have to just talk about this. This is something that kind of has been on my mind for a while. As far as Key and Peele goes, I'm not the hugest Key and Peele fan. I do love Get Out. I really did like Nope. I love what Jordan Peele has done. As far as Key and Peele the show, they definitely had a couple sketches that I was a big fan of, for sure. Negro Town was one of those. The one with the football players with the crazy names and everything, very very funny. But I'm a younger to mid millennial. I'm a Chappelle Show guy. So that's always been my line. That being said, these two men are very very talented, and one of the things that I think a lot of people who are fans of these guys always wonder is, why the fuck don't they work together anymore? Why do they not collaborate together anymore? These dudes are like the best when they are together. It's like dynamite. You know what I mean? They make killer sketches. The acting is great. Obviously, from Jordan Peele, the directing is great. So why are they not collaborating with each other? And now we seemingly have the answer here. There was a young woman named, I believe, Alicia Hughes or Liska Hughes, who is a comedian who I apparently never have heard of, but I got to look into her stuff, because if she's funny enough for these guys to co-sign her and try to help her out, she's got to be doing something really really good. But apparently she had a sketch with these guys, or a sketch show that was going to be developed by these guys, and Keegan Michael Key's wife allegedly was one of the people who got in the way and destroyed the entire thing. And that's what this video is about. It's about Keegan Michael Key, but it's also about comedian wives and how often these people can involve themselves in the career of comedians and end up destroying these people's careers. Or if not destroying it, just making it a lot more difficult for these guys to succeed, or just get in the way of these people's potential and how funny they really can be. And we've seen this happen with Akash Singh, right? Now we're seeing this happen with Keegan Michael Key. But I'll tell you, as a comedian, I've seen this happen tons of times with people. Even comedians that you may not know, even comedians who barely even do stand-up comedy anymore, right? Because they were really good, but their wife or something was jealous about the spotlight that the person was getting, about the fact that they had their own separate passion that was outside of the relationship between those two partners, and they become jealous, or they become overly involved in the thing. And I also want to speak to the fact that I'm not against women in comedy or even husband-wife duos. I actually think some of those can actually be some of the greatest duos that you've ever had. Case in point, right? Jordan Peele and Chelsea Peretti. Asterisk, because Chelsea is also a comedian, but another one would be Kumail Nanjiani, who we all know. He's a very, very talented comedian, and his wife, Emily. They've worked together countless times and have put together some really great things. One is his movie, The Big Sick. I heard she was very, very involved in that. Also, a lot of the shows that they ran in LA as well too. So that's not to say that people in relationships can't do great things together. They absolutely can. But when you're doing that, there is a very high possibility of toxicity. I think there is just a general feeling sometimes when somebody is very, very talented and somebody is very, very magnetic, that when they're dating somebody, the partner can sometimes feel left out, feel smaller, right? And a lot of times feel jealous with these things. And it's not always great. That's why I feel like the best relationships for comedians is either dating somebody who has no interest in being a part of comedy at all, or a part of show business at all, or dating someone like at your level. You know what I mean? Someone who is doing stand up, who's going out there every night hustling. Because listen, like that person may have the potential to be jealous or something as well too, but they're still bringing something to the table, right? When you have stuff like what Akash is dealing with, she brings stuff to the table as his wife, right? Same thing as Keegan Michael Key, right? Everybody needs support, everybody needs love, but comedically, entertainment wise, she brings nothing to the table. And when you have people like that who bring nothing to the table entertainment wise, and you're in the business of entertainment, it can be very, very detrimental to your career. And we've already seen that with Akash, how he's taken a bit of a long sabbatical from Flagrant because of all the attacks and the comments against him. And now I guess this is happening with Keegan Michael Key. And I'm not even the first one to talk about this. I actually saw this dude, Fried Plantain. He's an English guy who does really, really great comedy and kind of comedy podcaster videos similar to Podcast Cringe or Too Lazy to Try. So check this out, and I want to see what you guys think about this.
And I might just fly.
After my last Key and Peele video, the conversation got a lot bigger than just why don't Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key work together anymore? Because once Akilah Hughes' story started spreading, people didn't just focus on Jordan Peele. They started looking closer at Keegan Michael Key's wife, Ella Key. And that's where the whole discussion took a darker turn. To be clear from the start, a lot of this is allegation, interpretation, and public reaction.
And this is another thing too that I do want to address as well is that, you know, when it comes to the internet, these things can get very, very vicious and people can build their own narrative. So we are watching this video, but that shouldn't lead you to simply make all your assumptions about this woman. We do not know her. We haven't seen her track record of who she is as a person. So tread lightly. But I just felt like this was something to talk about. And it's something interesting, for sure.
Akilah Hughes told a story using coded names like Lock and Banana, and most people online have interpreted that as Keegan Michael Key and Jordan Peele. Hughes claims she had a sketch show in development with Lock attached, but the project fell apart after his wife allegedly became involved creatively and professionally. That story has now been covered by multiple entertainment sites, but what made the story explode was the second part. Hughes claimed that Banana's wife, widely assumed online to mean Chelsea Peretti, called her and warned her about Locke's wife. According to Hughes, the warning was serious. Peretti allegedly compared the situation to the Phil Hartman tragedy, said she would not trust this woman to hold a baby, and claimed there was no telling how much money she had cost
That black man.
Hey, yo, shout out to Chelsea Peretti. And this is kind of what I was talking about in the fact that Chelsea does stand up. So she understands how hard it is for anybody to come and get their big shot, their show, their movie deal, their writing job, you know, and especially for a black woman, you know, and even as a white woman, she's still a woman. She understands that type of shit. But there's a lot of those kind of tropes, you know, with white women and how they can maybe be nasty to black women. So the fact that she came out and was being honest and charitable to her and being like, hey, look out for this because her behavior is concerning is actually like a really, really cool thing. And it just goes to show you that there is a real connection between comedians and just artists as a whole. Like, don't get me wrong, it's dog eat dog for sure. But there are nice people out there who can help you out. So for every Keegan Michael Key wife, you have a Chelsea Peretti who's hilarious in her own right and also will tell you, stay the fuck away from that bitch.
Again, this is Hughes' version of the conversation, but that detail is the reason people are now going back through interviews, podcast appearances, Instagram posts, and old comments looking for a pattern. And once the internet starts looking for a pattern, it usually finds one. On X, TikTok, Reddit, and in my own comment section, people have been reacting with a mix of shock, suspicion, and that weird feeling of, wait, has this been obvious the whole time?
Now, who are we referencing when we say Locke and Banana? So Banana, Jordan Peele. Locke is Keegan Michael Key, and this is his wife. They're
And I will also say respect to Akilah Hughes for being so brave and kind of coming out and saying that stuff. Because I'll be honest, if it wasn't for Chelsea Peretti giving her that call, if she found out this information that Keegan Michael Key's wife is kind of a hater, and she just lost her shit and then went on stage and said, "Hey, his wife is a hater," that could really end her career. That's dangerous for her career. And even though Chelsea Peretti told her like, "Hey, this bitch is crazy," it's it's her word against hers, And you'd be surprised. People can be very charitable, but at the same time, be like, "Yo, don't pull me into it. Like, I'm here to warn you, but don't throw my name out there." Right? So she's very brave to kind of come out and kind of say that and just not give a fuck. I think that also shows you the times that we're in. I've done stand-up comedy for about 15 years now, right? And I've done some cool things with it, some really fun things. I've traveled all across the world doing stand-up comedy, but it is still not paying the bills for me, right? But I'm starting to gain more and more traction on YouTube just from doing commentary, doing different little short videos, talking about hip hop, talking about leftist theory, I'm writing my own short films and doing shit like that. I think there's a lot more people that would have stayed quiet like 10 years ago, 15 years ago about, of course, like abuse and stuff, but even small stuff like this, because they're afraid that they can't be in Back to the Barnyard 6, right? If they come out and really tell people how things are. But now, because of the internet and the fact that you can make your own way, it makes things a little bit more even, and people are willing to call out shitty behavior. So, shout out to her for doing that and just being brave, because there's a lot of people even now who still would not dare say anything.
There are allegations that she has a very bad anger problem, that he cannot rehearse without her being there, that he's afraid to not have her present when he's going to certain events and things to that extent. It's alleged that that's what ultimately led to them not being a duo anymore. I won't say the show itself, but them just being that paired duo. If what she was told or what she stated is actual fact, then he needs to do something. He needs to do something quick. I don't think people realize that men can also be in an abusive relationship.
And that is absolutely true. Men can be in an abusive relationship, but I think the bigger thing is for dudes especially is the codependency aspect of it. I think men were kind of taught to be lone wolves, right? Any problem you have, bottle it up, whatever. So when you meet the right person, somebody that actually resonates with you and does make you feel safe, it can be really, really, really hard to give that up, especially if you're a sensitive person like most artists are. And once again, I think this is similar to Akash, right? Akash didn't really have that much experience with women, right? He was a virgin until he got married to his wife, right? And all he did was stand up, and he met this incredibly beautiful woman who was really nice and there for him, which I totally believe that she is. They do seem like they are in love, right? Even if she shouldn't be holding a podcast mic ever. But that love that guy has and his craving for that safety that he gets from his wife or his girlfriend can be the death of you, right? That whole thing can sink the ship. And with Akash, it was bad just because she was talking shit, but at least that she still loves him. You know what I mean? And still, at least when they're together, respects him. But this woman, it seems like it's a different case. And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of it was his own codependency and his own fear of just being alone and his own insecurity, right? And now she's kind of his security blanket, and she uses that to kind of boss other people around and alienate him from his friends and family. It's a tale as old as time, man. It's not cool.
Especially when the woman looks like her.
She's currently going viral. She starts a Twitter thread about why Key and Peele allegedly don't work together anymore. Akilah Hughes starts a Twitter thread that links to a stand-up set that she does. And in the Twitter thread, she says, if you ever wondered why, and these names are bleeped out, K *** and P *** EL, don't work together anymore. Well, watch the next video in this thread. It's funny because like a lot of people in the comments are like, I thought you were saying Cash Patel. They were like, I thought you were saying why Cash Patel doesn't work anymore in this current political climate. But it's clearly about Key and Peele. Now that this has come up, like lots of other like people have responded to this tweet being like,
and they're right. So this is really kind of blown up right now. I'm even a little bit late on this train, but I saw that there wasn't too many videos about it, so I figured I would make one. And this does have an impact. I wonder what's going to happen if Keegan Michael Key is going to say anything about it. I kind of doubt it. You know, when it has to do with your wife, you usually stay silent unless it's something like about like abuse or something like truly like cancelable. Right? I mean, look at Will Smith, how he got dragged through the ringer, right? And didn't say anything until he kind of had to. And even when he said anything, he got brought to the red table talk all teary-eyed. And it only made things worse because these men love these women. And so even if they address it, it's probably just going to cause us as fans who, I won't say idolize, but do admire these people to a certain extent, to have less respect for them because they seem more human. Love makes people do very, very stupid things, even if that love is toxic. And so this is a very serious thing. It might impact his career. Also, too, I kind of wonder how this is going to affect Akilah Hughes in the same exact way, right? Because people in the industry are going to see this as, oh, she's a whistleblower, and right now it's okay to be a whistleblower for stuff like real abuse, like SA and, physical abuse and stuff like that. But to just kind of talk about how the sausage gets made and talk about somebody else's wife, there's probably some people at Netflix who are like, I don't know if I want her here. So I'm wondering what's going to happen to her and what her new reputation is going to be after this. But let me know what you think, man. Do you think this whole thing is blown out of proportion? Do you know people like this who have kind of toxic girlfriends and toxic wives that kind of meddle in everything that the guy does? And how do you think that affects that man and his performance, as well as, his relationships with his friends? And don't get me wrong, too, I know plenty of women that get affected by this stuff as well. But when it comes to stand-up comedy and just comedy in general, I do see this happen a decent amount with dudes and just thought I should talk about it. That's the video, guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you later. Peace.